The station floated dead in space like a broken promise. Kang Teo stared at it through his ship's window and felt nothing. That was good. Feeling nothing meant he could work. Feeling nothing meant he could go inside and take what needed taking, without thinking about the people who used to live there. His ship computer beeped. The station was called Twilight Harmony. Stupid name. Everything the Veltari named sounded like poetry. They were like that, always making things beautiful even when they didn't need to be. The station had been abandoned for 19 years. Before that, it was a research facility. The file didn't say what they were researching. The file didn't say why everyone left. Teo didn't care. His job was simple. Go inside. Find anything valuable. Bring it back. Get paid. Move on to the next dead place. He pulled on his suit and checked the seals. The suit was old but reliable, like him. 42 years old and spending his life picking through other people's abandoned dreams. His reflection in the helmet visor showed tired eyes and hair that needed cutting. He looked away. The airlock hissed open. Space was quiet. People always said that, but they were wrong. Space wasn't quiet. Space was the absence of sound, which was different. Quiet meant something that could be broken. This was just nothing. He floated across the gap between his ship and the station. His magnetic boots clanked against the station's outer hull. Still had gravity generators working. That was strange. Stations didn't keep power for 19 years unless someone maintained them. The outer door opened easier than it should have. The keypad still worked. Someone had left this place in a hurry, but not in chaos. Everything was too neat, too organized. Like they planned to come back. Inside, the corridor lights flickered on. Emergency power, probably. Teo walked slowly, his helmet light cutting through the darkness. The walls were that strange Veltari metal that seemed to glow from within. Their ships and stations always looked alive somehow. Human stations were just metal and plastic. Veltari stations felt like they were sleeping. He checked his scanner. Life support was active in one section. Eastern Wing Medical Bay area. That made no sense. Life support cost power. Power cost fuel. Someone would have to refill the generators. But the station had been abandoned. The records said everyone left. Records were often wrong. Teo moved toward the Eastern Wing. His footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. He passed labs with equipment still sitting on tables. Dust covered everything. A coffee cup sat next to a computer. The coffee was long gone, just brown stains at the bottom. Someone had been working here when they left. Someone had put down their coffee and walked away and never came back. He tried not to think about that. The medical bay doors were sealed. Heavy doors, the kind meant to contain something. Or protect something. The keypad was dark. Teo pulled out his override tool and connected it. The tool beeped and clicked, running through combinations. 5 minutes later, the door groaned and slid open halfway. Cold air rushed out. Frost covered the walls inside. His scanner showed temperature at near freezing. But the life support was running. Someone wanted this room cold. Teo squeezed through the door. The medical bay was larger than he expected. Beds lined the walls. Medical equipment stood silent and dark. Monitoring screens were cracked. Some had shattered completely. Something bad had happened here. Something violent. At the far end, behind a glass wall, was a cryopod. The glass was covered in frost. He couldn't see inside clearly, but he could see something moving. His heart beat faster. 19 years and something was still alive in there. He walked closer. His breath fogged in the cold air even inside his helmet. The cryopod was active. Lights blinked on the control panel. The readout showed one occupant. Vital signs stable. Temperature controlled. Someone was sleeping in there. Teo wiped frost from the glass. A face looked back at him. Not human. Veltari. Female. Her skin was pale blue-gray, the color of deep ocean water. Her eyes were closed. But even unconscious, even frozen, he could see the patterns moving under her skin. The Veltari communicated through those patterns. Their skin glowed and changed colors based on their emotions. It was beautiful and terrifying. Humans could lie with words. Veltari could never hide what they felt. But this one's patterns were wrong. They flickered and jumped. Colors bled into each other. Dark purple mixed with sick green. Angry red flashed and disappeared. It looked like pain. It looked like chaos. The cryopod had a manual release. Emergency use only. But this was an emergency, wasn't it? Finding someone alive after 19 years? That counted. Teo pressed the release. The pod hissed. Frost cracked and fell away. The glass cover lifted slowly. More cold air rushed out, bringing a smell like antiseptic and something else, something organic and wrong. The Veltari woman's eyes opened. They were silver, completely silver. No pupils, no iris, just silver that reflected his helmet light back at him. She gasped and tried to sit up, failed, fell back. Her skin patterns went crazy, flashing so fast he couldn't track them. Her mouth opened but no sound came out. Teo reached to help her. She screamed, not with her voice, with her mind. The scream hit him like a wall. His head exploded with pain. He fell backward, crashing into a medical cart. Equipment clattered to the floor. The woman rolled out of the pod. She landed hard, her legs not working yet. She crawled backward, away from him, her silver eyes wide with terror. Her skin patterns were all wrong. They showed emotions he didn't have names for. Emotions that hurt to look at. She reached up and grabbed a piece of metallic cloth from a nearby table. She wrapped it around her head, covering her face and most of her neck. The patterns disappeared behind the cloth. The pain in Teo's head faded. They stared at each other. Him on the floor, surrounded by broken equipment. Her huddled against the wall, wrapped in metal cloth, shaking. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was rough from not being used. "Please don't look at me." Teo didn't move. His head still ached. His heart was pounding. But his voice worked. "Are you hurt?" She laughed. It was a terrible sound. "Hurt? Yes, for 19 years, yes. My name is Kang Teo. I'm a salvager. I'm here alone. I'm not going to hurt you." "You already did," she whispered. "You looked at me. Everyone who looks gets hurt." "I don't understand." She pulled the cloth tighter around her face. "You will. Everyone does eventually. That's why I stopped letting people see." Teo slowly stood up. "What's your name?" "Silence, please." "Your name?" "Yoon Hana," she said finally. "I was a researcher here. Before everything ended. What happened here?" Hana's wrapped head tilted down. "We tried to do something beautiful. We tried to connect minds across species. We tried to make everyone understand each other. And we created a monster." She looked up at him, silver eyes visible through a gap in the cloth. "And I became its prison." Hana refused to leave the medical bay. She said it was her space, her safety. Teo didn't argue. He brought her food from his ship and water. She ate while facing away from him. Always with the cloth wrapped around her face. Always hiding. 3 days passed like that. Him working on the station systems. Her staying in the medical bay. They talked through the walls. Her voice came through the intercom speakers. "It was easier that way," she said. "Safer." "Why are you here?" she asked on the first day. Teo was checking the power generators. "Salvage contract." The station was listed as abandoned. It is abandoned, except for me. What happened to everyone else? Silence, then. They died. Most of them. The ones who survived left, but you stayed. I had to. Someone had to stay. Her voice cracked. Someone had to make sure it didn't spread. Teo wanted to ask more, but she went quiet after that. Didn't speak again until the next day. On the second day, he found her in the observation room. She was standing at the window looking out at the stars. The cloth was still wrapped around her head. She wore a medical gown that was too big for her. Her feet were bare. He could see her skin patterns moving on her arms and legs. They were calmer than before. Soft blues and gentle greens. Almost normal. "I used to love the stars," she said without turning around. "Before." Teo stood in the doorway. Kept his distance. "Before what?" "Before I learned that some things are worse than dying alone in space." She turned slightly. Not enough to face him, just enough to show she knew he was there. "You're people, humans. You can lie with your faces. You can smile and be sad inside. You can say one thing and mean another. Yes, we can't. Veltari, our emotions show on our skin. We tried for thousands of years to control it. We can't. What we feel, we show. It's our blessing and our curse." She touched the window. Her hand left frost where her fingers pressed. "That's why we started the project. The empathy convergence. We thought if we could share our feelings directly with other species, really share them, there would be no more war, no more misunderstanding, perfect communication." "Sounds nice." Hana laughed that terrible laugh again. "It was beautiful, in theory. We spent 10 years developing it. Built machines that could link minds across species. We tested it carefully. Small groups, short connections. It worked. It really worked." She pulled her hand back. The frost remained on the glass. "I felt what humans felt. I experienced how your minds work. It was amazing. Different from us, but beautiful. And the humans who connected with me, they understood us better. Everyone was so happy. Teo waited. He knew there was more. There was always more. Then we tried a bigger group. 12 Veltari. We wanted to test if multiple minds could connect at once. Create a network of understanding. Dr. Big Jiwoo warned me. He said we should wait. Do more small tests. But I was excited. I thought we were ready. Her voice dropped to a whisper. We weren't ready. On the third day, Teo was repairing the beacon transmitter when Hana found him. She stood in the corridor, wrapped in her cloth. She had wrapped her hands, too. Metal cloth covered them completely. I need to show you something, she said. He followed her through the station. She walked slowly, like she was in pain. Maybe she was. He didn't know what holding a monster inside felt like. She led him to a sealed door. Research Lab 7. The keypad was smashed. Someone had destroyed it on purpose. I can't open it, Hana said. I tried. But maybe you can. What's inside? Proof. Proof that I'm telling the truth. Proof that you should leave me here and never come back. Teo used his override tool. It took longer this time. The security was heavier. Finally, the door opened. The smell hit him first. Old death and chemicals. He pulled his helmet from his belt and put it on. The lab was destroyed. Equipment was torn apart. Scorch marks covered the walls, and in the center 12 cryopods, all of them cracked. All of them empty, but not clean. There were stains inside, dark stains that Teo didn't want to think about. This is where it happened, Hana said from the doorway. She wouldn't come inside. This is where they died. On the wall was a screen. Still working somehow. Hana touched a button. The screen flickered to life. It showed the lab before it was destroyed. 12 Veltari stood in a circle, connected to machines by cables attached to their heads. They were glowing. All of them. Their skin patterns were synchronized, moving together like a dance. It was beautiful. Dr. Baek Ji-woo was there, tall for a Veltari with kind eyes. He stood outside the circle, watching nervously. Hana was there too, younger, excited, her patterns showing joy and anticipation. Begin convergence, Video Hana said. The 12 Veltari closed their eyes. Their patterns began to pulse faster, brighter. The light grew until Teo had to look away from the screen. Then the screaming started, all 12 at once. Their patterns went wild. Colors Teo had never seen before. Colors that hurt to look at. The Veltari collapsed, but the screaming didn't stop. It got worse. Worse than any sound should be. Jiwoo ran to disconnect them. Hana ran too. But when they touched the machines, they screamed too. Their patterns exploded with the same terrible colors. Something was moving in the light between the 12 Veltari. Something that wasn't there before. Something made of their combined fear and pain. It had no shape. Just darkness inside all that light. A shadow with teeth. Video Hana looked straight at the camera. Her patterns showed pure terror, but also determination. She grabbed something from a table. A headset. The same kind the 12 were wearing. She put it on. Don't, Jiwoo screamed. Don't connect. It will take you too. Someone has to contain it, Video Hana said. If it escapes this room, it will spread through the station. Through the network. It could reach other worlds. She activated the headset. The scream that came from her was worse than all the others combined. She fell to her knees. Her patterns went completely black, then silver, then that chaos of wrong colors. The thing in the light moved. It flowed toward her, into her. She was screaming, and the light was dying, and Jiwoo was trying to pull her away, but it was too late. The 12 Veltari stopped moving, stopped screaming. Their patterns went dark, dead. Hana's patterns came back, but wrong, so wrong. All the colors mixed together. All the pain, all the fear, all the horror of 12 minds dying at once. It was all inside her now, showing on her skin, forever. Jiwoo held her while she screamed. His patterns showed love and grief so strong it hurt to see. He held her until he died too. The connection killed him slowly. His patterns faded over minutes, but he didn't let go. The video ended. Teo couldn't speak. His throat was tight. His eyes burned. Hana's voice was flat. I absorbed the entity, the psychic thing we created. It lives inside me now. When people look at my patterns, they see it. They see the death of 12 people. They feel it. It breaks them. That's why you hide. That's why I hide. That's why I wrapped my hands. I destroyed the light-producing cells with acid. It hurt, but not as much as watching people suffer because of me. She turned away. I am a disease, Teo. I am a plague. You should seal this station and leave. Forget you found me. No, she looked back. He couldn't see her face through the cloth. But he heard the surprise in her voice. No, I'm not leaving you here. You don't understand what I am. Teo stepped closer, still keeping distance, but closer. I understand you saved everyone. You stopped that thing from spreading. You've been alone for 19 years carrying something no one should have to carry. That's what I understand. Hana's wrapped shoulders shook. You only say that because you haven't really looked. You haven't seen what I've become. Then let me help you. Let me help you fix the beacon. Call for help. There has to be someone who can remove this thing. Some way to free you. I've had 19 years to think about that. There's no way. The entity is part of me now. Part of my nervous system. My skin, my mind. Removing it would kill me. She walked away slowly, and maybe that would be better. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. Teo wanted to argue, but she was gone. Disappeared into the dark corridors, leaving him alone with the dead screens and the empty pods and the memory of 12 people screaming. Teo couldn't sleep. He lay in his ship staring at the ceiling, thinking about Hana alone in that frozen medical bay. Thinking about 19 years of isolation, 19 years of believing you were a monster. That would break anyone. He got up and went back to the station, not to see her, just to work. That's what he told himself. He needed to access the main computer, needed to understand what happened here. Maybe there was something in the research files, something that could help. The main computer room was deep in the station's core. The door was locked but not destroyed. That was good. Teo got it open and stepped inside. Banks of servers lined the walls. Most were dark, but one section still had power. Emergency backup systems. The Veltari built things to last. He connected his portable terminal and started searching through the files. There were thousands of documents. Research papers, experiment logs, personal journals. He started with the official project files, the Empathy Convergence Project. Started 12 years before the accident. Led by Dr. Yoon Hana. Funded by the Veltari Council of Sciences. Goal was to create a bridge between species. To make lies impossible. To ensure true understanding. Early tests were successful. Small groups. Veltari connecting with humans. Veltari connecting with other species. People reported feeling closer afterward. Understanding each other better. No negative effects. The project was praised. Hana received awards. Then came the proposal for the large-scale test. 12 Veltari connecting simultaneously, creating a network. Dr. Baek Ji-woo filed a formal objection, said they didn't understand what would happen when multiple minds linked, said consciousness might not scale linearly, said they should wait. Hana overruled him. She was the project lead. She believed they were ready. The council approved the test. Teo found Hana's personal journal. The entries before the test showed excitement, confidence. She wrote about how this would change the galaxy, how it would end suffering caused by misunderstanding. She truly believed it. She loved Ji-woo. That was clear in every entry that mentioned him. She wrote about his careful nature, his kindness, how he always made her think twice, how he made her better, but she also wrote about her frustration. He was too cautious, too afraid. Someone had to push forward. Someone had to take risks. The last entry before the test was short. Tomorrow we change everything. Ji-woo is worried. But I know we're ready. I know this will work. I can feel it. There were no entries after the test. Just the video logs. Teo had already seen the worst one. But there were others. Aftermath footage. Cleanup crews in protective suits. Veltari scientists examining the bodies. Everyone's pattern showing horror and confusion. And footage of Hana, alone in a containment room. Her patterns going wild, flashing through colors that shouldn't exist. She was screaming, begging them to kill her, begging them to end it, but they couldn't, because the entity was still active, still dangerous. As long as she lived, it was contained. If she died, it might escape, might find a new host. So they kept her alive, fed her, kept her safe, and she hated them for it. Eventually, she stopped screaming, stopped begging, just sat in silence, wrapped in cloth, refusing to look at anyone, refusing to let anyone look at her. The survivors abandoned the station 6 months after the accident. They left her in cryo-sleep, left supplies, left the power running. They promised to find a cure, promised to come back. 19 years later, they never had. Teo found another file. A personal log from Jiwoo recorded hours before the test. His voice was calm but worried. I tried to convince Hana to postpone. She won't listen. She thinks I'm being afraid. Maybe I am. But I've been running simulations. Something's wrong with the math. When 12 minds connect, there should be 12 perspectives, 12 streams of consciousness. But my simulations show 13. Static crackled. Then Jiwoo spoke again. I don't know what the 13th is. Maybe a Gestalt consciousness. Maybe an emergent property. Maybe nothing. But it's there in the math. And we don't know what it is. Hana says I'm seeing shadows. She's probably right. She usually is. He paused. But if I'm wrong and something goes bad, I want someone to know I tried. I love her. I love her too much to let her do this alone. So I'll be there. I'll watch. And if something goes wrong, I'll protect her. That's all I can do. The file ended. Teo sat back. Jiwoo had known. Not exactly what would happen, but that something was wrong. And he stayed anyway. Because he loved her. And it killed him. But not before he saw Hana absorb the entity. Not before he saw her sacrifice herself. His last moments were watching the woman he loved become a prison for a monster. That's what Hana carried. Not just the entity. Not just the deaths of 12 people. But Jiwoo's death too. His love for her showing on his skin as he died. His patterns had showed it all. The pain, the fear, and the love. Especially the love. No wonder she didn't want anyone to see her. She didn't just show the entity. She showed Jiwoo's death, over and over, forever. Teo understood now why she wanted to stay frozen. Why she wanted to be left alone. Every time someone looked at her, she had to watch Jiwoo die again. Had to feel his love and his loss. For 19 years, he found another file. Recent, dated 3 days ago. The day he arrived. Hana had recorded something before he woke her up. Before she knew she would be found. Her voice was tired. Flat. This is day 6,942. Or maybe 43. I stopped counting carefully years ago. Doesn't matter. Every day is the same. Wake up, eat, try not to think. Go back to sleep. The cryopod helps. When I sleep, I don't dream. Don't remember. Don't feel, she breathed slowly. I thought about ending it today, again. There's a medical override in the pod. I could stop my heart, quick, painless, the entity would die with me. Probably, maybe, I'm not sure anymore. Another breath. But I can't, what if I'm wrong? What if it survives? What if it finds someone else? I can't risk it, so I stay. I'm still the prison. Still the lock. Still the thing that keeps the monster contained, silence. Then, softer, Jiwoo would be disappointed in me. He would say I'm being too cautious. Too afraid. That's funny. He was always the careful one. Now I'm the one too scared to move. Too scared to live. Too scared to die. More silence. I miss him. I miss everyone. I miss being seen without causing pain. I miss being normal. I miss being Hana instead of this thing I've become. Her voice broke. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I can't stop. Can't rest. Can't let go. Because if I do, everyone dies. So I'll keep going. One more day. Then another. Then another. Until I can't anymore. Then maybe one more after that. The recording ended. Teo sat in the dark computer room. His chest hurt. His eyes burned again. He thought about his own isolation. The years he spent alone after his family died. After he failed to save them. He thought he understood loneliness. He didn't, not like this. His isolation was a choice. A punishment he gave himself. He could stop any time. He just didn't want to. Hana's isolation wasn't a choice. It was a necessity. A sacrifice. She stayed alone not because she wanted to, but because she had to. To protect everyone else. That was the difference between them. He was hiding from the world. She was hiding from herself. Or trying to. There had to be a way to help her. Something in these files. Some clue about how to remove the entity. Or at least how to make it bearable. He searched for hours. Read everything he could find about the empathy convergence technology. About Veltari neurobiology. About psychic phenomena. And he found something. A small note buried in Jiwoo's research files. A hypothesis he had been testing before he died. Human brains processed emotions differently than Veltari. Veltari felt and displayed simultaneously. Humans felt first, then chose what to show. There was a filter, a delay, a space between feeling and displaying. Jiwoo thought that might matter. Thought that maybe a human could look at the entity without being overwhelmed, because the human brain would process it differently, would filter it, would give the conscious mind time to prepare. It was just a theory. Jiwoo never tested it, never had the chance. But it was there, written in his careful handwriting. If I'm right, a human might be able to see what Hana has become without breaking, might be able to witness the entity without being destroyed by it. But I can't test this, too dangerous, and I hope no one ever needs to. Teo read it 3 times, then 4. His hands were shaking. Teo didn't tell Hana what he found. Not right away. He spent 2 days thinking about it, researching more, making sure he understood what Jiwoo's theory meant. If Jiwoo was right, Teo could look at Hana without being destroyed, could see the entity, could witness what she carried, but there was no guarantee. It was just a theory, an untested hypothesis from a dead man. If Jiwoo was wrong, Teo would end up like the others, broken, maybe dead. Hana would be alone again, would blame herself again, would carry his death too. But if Jiwoo was right, maybe seeing would help somehow. Maybe understanding what she carried would be the first step to helping her carry it. Hana found him working on the beacon. He was rewiring the transmitter array, trying to get enough power to send a signal. "You're still here," she said through the intercom. "Where else would I be?" "Gone. Smart people leave when they meet me." Teo kept working. His hands were steady. "That was good." "I'm not that smart." She made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You're human. You people survived everything. Wars, plagues, your own planet trying to kill you. You're smarter than you think. If we're so smart, why do we keep making the same mistakes?" Silence. Then, "Everyone does. Even Veltari. We thought we could force understanding. Force connection. We learned that some things can't be forced." Teo finished the connection and stood up. "I found Jiwoo's research files." The intercom went quiet. He could hear her breathing, fast, shallow. "Don't," she said finally. "Please don't talk about him." "Why not?" "Because it hurts. Because I killed him. Because every time I think about him, I see his patterns. See his love. See him dying while trying to save me. You didn't kill him. The entity did. I created the entity. I ignored his warnings. I pushed forward when he said to stop. Same thing." Teo picked up his tools. He had a theory. About humans. About how we process emotions differently. He thought maybe a human could look at the entity without breaking. "No." Hana's voice was sharp, hard. "No, don't even think about it." "Why not?" "Because I won't do that to you. I won't let another person suffer because of me. It's not your choice. Yes, it is. This is my burden, mine. I don't share it. That's the whole point." Teo started walking toward the medical bay. What if Jiwoo was right? What if I can see it? Really see it? Maybe that would help somehow. Help how? Help you have nightmares? Help you understand how much of a monster I am? I know what I am, Teo. I don't need you to confirm it. He reached the medical bay door. She was inside, standing near the window. "Still wrapped in cloth. Always wrapped. I'm coming in," he said. "Don't." He opened the door, stepped inside. The cold air hit him. Hana backed away. Please don't do this. I need to understand. I need to see. Why? Why do you need this? Why can't you just leave like everyone else?" Teo stopped, gave her space. "Because you've been alone for 19 years. Because you think you're a monster. Because I think you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about, then show me. Let me see. Let me decide for myself." Hana was shaking. Her wrapped hands clutched the cloth tighter. "If I do this, if I let you look, you'll understand. You'll see why I need to stay hidden, and then you'll leave. Like everyone else should have. Maybe. You don't understand. The entity doesn't just show death. It shows everything. Every moment of pain. Every moment of fear. Jiwoo dying. The 12 screaming, and me. It shows what I've become. What I think about myself. All the hate. All the guilt. All the darkness. It's all there. All visible. All the time." Teo's throat was tight. "I know. No, you don't. You can't. Not until you see it." They stood in silence. The cold air hummed through the vents. Outside the window, stars burned in the darkness. "Please don't do this," Hana whispered. "Please just go. Fix the beacon. Call for help if you want. But don't look at me. I can't watch another person break. 3 days later it happened. Teo was helping Hana repair the reactor. They needed more power for the beacon. The reactor was old and damaged. One of the coolant lines had cracked. They were working in the reactor room. Hana on one side of the machine, Teo on the other, not looking at each other. Being careful. Always careful. The coolant line burst. Without warning, high-pressure steam exploded into the room. Alarms screamed. Emergency lights flashed red. Hana's cloth was torn, ripped by flying metal. She screamed and tried to cover her face with her hands. But the cloth was gone. Her face was exposed. Her patterns were exposed. Teo turned instinctively, moved to help her, to check if she was hurt. Their eyes met. The world exploded. Pain hit him like a hammer. Not physical pain. Mental pain. Emotional pain. Pain that had no name. He saw everything at once. 12 Veltari dying. Their patterns going wild. Their screams echoing forever. He felt their fear. Felt their confusion. Felt the moment they realized they were dying and couldn't stop it. He saw Jiwoo. Saw him holding Hana. Saw his patterns showing love so pure it hurt. Love mixed with grief. Love mixed with fear. Love that didn't stop even as he died. Even as his light faded. Even as everything ended. He saw Hana absorbing the entity. Saw her patterns go black, then silver, then chaos. Saw her mind fracture. Saw her trying to hold it together. Trying to contain something that wanted to spread. To consume. To destroy. He saw 19 years of isolation. Every day the same. Every day a battle. Every day wondering if today was the day she failed. The day the entity won. The day everyone died because she wasn't strong enough. He saw her guilt. Thick and choking. Guilt for ignoring Jiwoo. Guilt for the 12 deaths. Guilt for surviving. Guilt for being alive when everyone else was dead. Guilt that never ended. Never eased. Never forgave. He saw her self-hatred. Deep and terrible. She thought she was a plague. A disease. A monster that should be destroyed. She thought the universe would be better without her. Thought everyone would be safer if she just stopped existing. The entity was there too. A presence in her mind. Not intelligent. Not really. Just hungry. Just wanting. It fed on her negative emotions. Grew stronger with every moment of self-hatred. Every moment of guilt. It whispered to her constantly. Told her she was worthless. Told her she deserved this. Told her to give up, and she fought it. Every second of every day for 19 years. Fought to keep it contained. Fought to keep it from spreading. Fought to stay alive even when she wanted to die. Because giving up meant everyone else died too. But underneath all of that, underneath the darkness and the pain and the guilt, Teo saw something else, light, small, dim, but persistent, Hana's original self. The person she was before the entity. The researcher who wanted to help people. The woman who loved the stars. The friend who laughed with colleagues. The partner who loved Jiwoo. That person was still there. Buried. Hidden but not dead. Not gone, still fighting. Still hoping. Still believing that maybe, somehow, she could be more than a prison. Teo fell. His legs gave out. He hit the floor hard. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. His heart was breaking. Actually breaking. He could feel it cracking apart in his chest. Not from the entity's darkness. From Hana's sacrifice. From understanding what she had done. What she carried. What she endured. For 19 years alone she chose this. Chose to become a monster. Chose isolation. Chose endless pain. Because the alternative was letting the entity spread. Letting it hurt others. She sacrificed everything to save people she would never meet. People who would never know her name. People who thought the station was just abandoned. Hana was screaming. He could hear her through the ringing in his ears. She was trying to cover her face with her hands. Trying to hide. But it was too late. He had seen. He had seen everything. His vision was blurring. Tears maybe. Or his brain shutting down. Protecting itself. But before the darkness took him, he saw her patterns one more time. They showed something new. Something he hadn't seen in the memories. Something happening now. Her patterns showed grief and concern and fear. Not for herself, for him. She was worried about him. About what he saw. About what it did to him even now. Even after everything. She still cared about others more than herself. That's when his heart truly shattered. Teo woke up in his ship. His head felt like someone had taken it apart and put it back together wrong. Everything hurt. His eyes, his skull, his chest. Especially his chest. He sat up slowly. The room spun. He waited for it to stop. Hana was gone. He knew without looking. Could feel her absence. She had run. Of course she had run. He saw her. Really saw her. And she thought that proved she was a monster. She was wrong. He stood, stumbled, caught himself on the wall. His legs didn't want to work right. His brain was still processing what he saw, still trying to make sense of it. Probably would be trying for a long time, but he was alive. Jiwoo's theory was right. Humans could see the entity without being destroyed. It hurt. Hurt worse than anything he'd ever felt. But he survived. His mind was intact mostly. He grabbed water, drank. His throat was raw. Had he been screaming too? Probably, hard to remember. Everything after looking at Hana was fuzzy. Pain and images and emotions all mixed together. He checked his scanner, looking for her bio sign. Found it deep in the station. The experimental lab, where the 12 died. Where it all started, of course. She would go there. Back to the beginning. Back to where everything ended. Teo walked through the station. Each step was hard. His body didn't want to move. Wanted to lie down and process what happened, but he couldn't. Hana was alone. Alone and thinking she was a monster. Alone and probably planning to do something stupid. The lab door was open. He stepped inside. Hana was standing in front of one of the cryopods. The broken ones. Where the 12 died. She had wrapped the cloth around her face again. Her hands were wrapped. Everything hidden again, but he could see her shoulders shaking. She was crying. "You're awake," she said without turning around. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you. Tried to tell you not to look. But you did anyway. And now you know. Now you've seen what I really am." Teo stepped closer. Not too close. Giving her space. "I saw. Then you understand. You understand why I have to end this." His blood went cold. "End what?" She gestured to the cryopod. "This pod still works. Sort of. I've been studying it. I can set it to permanent sleep. No wake-up cycle. No maintenance checks. Just sleep forever. The entity will be contained. No one else will be hurt. That's not ending it. That's giving up. It's the same thing." Her voice was flat. Tired. "I'm tired, Teo. I've been fighting for 19 years. I can't fight anymore. I can't be this thing anymore. I can't hurt anyone else. You didn't hurt me," she laughed. That terrible laugh. "Don't lie. I saw you collapse. Saw you screaming. I did that to you. Just by existing. Just by being seen. You didn't do it on purpose. Doesn't matter. The result is the same." Teo moved closer. She tensed but didn't run. "I need to tell you something. About what I saw. Please don't. I know what you saw. I live with it every day. I don't need you to describe it back to me. I'm not describing. I'm explaining. There's a difference." She turned slightly. Not facing him. Just acknowledging he was there. "What could you possibly explain?" "You saw the deaths. Saw the entity. Saw what I've become. That's all there is." "No, it's not." Teo's voice was stronger now, clearer. "I saw all of that, yes. It was horrible. Painful, the worst thing I've ever experienced. But I saw something else too." "What?" "You, the real you. Under all the darkness. Under all the pain and guilt and self-hatred. I saw who you really are. Who you were before. And Hana, you're still there. You're still fighting. You haven't lost yourself. You're still you." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "You're wrong. That person died 19 years ago. I'm just what's left. Just the prison. Just the lock. If that was true, you wouldn't be tired. Prisons don't get tired. Locks don't feel pain. You feel all of it because you're still human. Still alive. Still you. I'm not human. I'm Veltari. You know what I mean?" Hana touched the cryopod. Her wrapped hand left frost on the glass. "Even if you're right. Even if some part of me still exists, so what? I'm still carrying the entity. Still a danger to everyone. Nothing changes. Everything changes. Don't you see? You're not a monster. You're a person who made a sacrifice. A huge, terrible sacrifice. You chose to suffer so others wouldn't. That's not monstrous. That's heroic. Heroes don't hide. Heroes don't wrap themselves in cloth and run away from everyone. Heroes do what they have to do, even when it's hard. Even when it hurts. Even when no one sees. Especially when no one sees." Teo was close now. Close enough to touch her if he reached out. He didn't. You've been fighting alone for 19 years. Fighting to contain something that wants to destroy you. Fighting to protect people who don't even know you exist. That's heroic. That's brave. That's everything good about consciousness. Hana's shoulders shook harder. You don't understand. You can't. Even if you believe that, even if you see me as something other than a monster, what about everyone else? What about the Veltari? If I go back, if I leave this station, everyone will see me. Everyone will see the entity. Everyone will break like you did. Maybe, maybe not. We can find a way. We can research, experiment, figure out how to shield people from the entity, or how to teach them to process it like I did. And if we can't, if there's no way, then what? Teo took a breath. This was the part that scared him. The part he'd been thinking about since he woke up. Then you come with me. What? You come with me on my ship. We salvage together. We stay away from crowds, away from people, just us. You don't have to go back to the Veltari. You don't have to face them. You can just be. That's not a life. That's just different isolation. It's better than sleeping forever. And you won't be alone. I'll be there. Hana turned to face him. He still couldn't see her face through the cloth. But he could see her eyes. Silver, reflecting his light back at him. Why would you do that? Why would you tie yourself to someone like me? Teo thought about his answer. Thought about all the reasons. The logical ones. The emotional ones. The true ones. Because you carried this alone for 19 years. Because no one should have to do that. Because I understand what it's like to isolate yourself as punishment. Because I think you deserve better. Because I want to help. Those are good reasons, but not the real one. What's the real reason? He smiled. She couldn't see it through his helmet, but maybe she heard it in his voice. Because when I saw you, really saw you, under all the darkness, I saw someone worth knowing, worth helping, worth saving, and I haven't felt that way about anyone in a long time. Hana was silent. Her patterns were hidden. He couldn't see what she was feeling. That was probably on purpose. Finally, she spoke. You're going to regret this. When you have to live with me. When you remember what I showed you. When you have nightmares every night. You're going to regret offering. Maybe, but that's my choice, my regret. Not yours to carry. I'm already carrying too much. Then let me help you carry it. That's all I'm asking. Don't sleep forever. Don't give up. Let me help. Let us try together. She turned away, looked back at the cryopod. He thought she was going to refuse. Thought she was going to climb in anyway. 19 years of isolation was hard to break. 19 years of believing you were a monster was hard to unlearn. But then she stepped away from the pod. Small step, but away. Not toward, okay, she whispered. Okay, we'll try. But when this fails, when you realize this is impossible, when you want to leave, promise me you'll just go. No guilt, no apologies. Just go, I promise. But it's not going to fail. You don't know that. No, but I believe it. And right now, that's enough. They stood in the lab, surrounded by broken equipment and empty pods and the ghosts of 12 people who died trying to create something beautiful. It was a terrible place, a place of pain and death and failure. But it was also where Hana made her choice, where she chose to save everyone, where she proved that sometimes the bravest thing is to keep living, even when everything hurts, even when you think you're a monster, even when you're alone. She wasn't alone anymore. That had to count for something. They worked for weeks, Teo and Hana side by side, not looking at each other directly, but together, actually together. It was strange and difficult and sometimes painful, but it was better than being alone. They started with the research files. Everything Jiwoo had written about consciousness and connection. Everything Hana remembered about the experiment. Everything they could find about psychic entities and trauma and how minds worked. Hana was brilliant. Teo knew that from her files. But seeing it in person was different. She understood things he couldn't, made connections he missed, but she also doubted herself constantly. Every idea came with an apology. Every suggestion came with a warning that she was probably wrong. 19 years of isolation did that. Made you forget you were smart. Made you forget you were capable. Made you think everything you did was wrong because the one big thing you did went so wrong. Teo had to remind her, gently, often, that she wasn't wrong, that her ideas were good, that she was allowed to be brilliant again. Slowly, carefully, they formed a theory. The entity wasn't really alive, wasn't really intelligent. It was an echo, a psychic recording of the worst moment in 12 lives. It played over and over, fed by Hana's guilt and self-hatred. The more she believed she was a monster, the stronger it got. The stronger it got, the more she believed she was a monster. A terrible cycle. 19 years of it. So we need to break the cycle, Hana said. They were in the lab, working on the old convergence equipment, trying to make it safe. But how? I can't just decide to stop feeling guilty. That's not how emotions work. No, Teo agreed. But maybe you don't have to stop feeling guilty. Maybe you just have to feel something else too. Something stronger, like what? He didn't answer right away. He was thinking, remembering what he saw when he looked at her. The light underneath the darkness. The person still fighting. Acceptance. I don't understand. The entity feeds on your self-hatred, on your belief that you're a monster, that you don't deserve to exist. But what if you accepted yourself? Not as a monster, but as someone who made a hard choice, someone who suffered for others, someone who deserves compassion? Even from yourself, Hana laughed. Not the terrible laugh. A different one. Sad but almost real. You make it sound easy. It's not easy. It's the hardest thing. But maybe it's possible. How? Teo connected another wire. His hands were steady. I think I need to go back in. Hana went very still. What? Go back in? Into your mind, like the convergence experiment, but controlled, safe, just me and you. I can show you what I saw. Show you the light underneath. Show you that you're not what you think you are. No, absolutely not. It almost killed you last time. Last time was an accident. This time I'll be ready. I know what to expect, and I'll be looking for something different. Not the entity you, Teo, no. I won't risk you like that. He stopped working. Looked at her. Not at her patterns, just at the general shape of her. The wrapped figure by the window. Hana, if we don't try, what's the alternative? You go back to isolation? You go back to believing you're a monster? You go back to fighting alone? Yes, that's safer. Safer for who? Not for you. For everyone else. For you especially. Teo put down his tools. What if I told you I'm willing to take that risk? What if I told you that helping you is more important to me than being safe? Then I'd say you're being stupid. Maybe, but it's my choice. My stupidity, and I'm asking you to let me try, please. They argued for 3 days. Hana refused. Teo insisted. She listed all the ways it could go wrong. He acknowledged them and said he didn't care. She said she couldn't live with herself if he got hurt. He said she was already not living with herself. That stopped her. Made her think. On the 4th day she agreed. But only with conditions. They would be careful. Start small. Short connection. If anything went wrong, she would disconnect immediately. If he showed any sign of distress, they would stop. No exceptions. No heroics. No risks, Teo agreed. He would have agreed to anything. They prepared the equipment. The old convergence machines. Modified them. Made them safer. Added cutoffs and limiters and emergency disconnects. Hana worked with shaking hands. She was terrified. He could see it in how she moved. How she hesitated. How she checked everything 3 times. We don't have to do this, she said for the 100th time. Yes, we do. Why? Why is this so important to you? Teo sat in the connection chair. The same chair the 12 had sat in. Where they died. He tried not to think about that. Because you've been carrying this alone for 19 years. Because I saw what that did to you. Because I think if someone can show you that you're not a monster, you might start to believe it. And if you believe it, the entity loses its power. That's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. But it's worth trying. Hana sat in the other chair, across from him. She still wore the cloth. Still hidden. But her hands were shaking so hard she could barely attach the connections. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. What if this makes it worse? What if the entity takes you? What if you can't get out? Then you disconnect me. You pull me out. You save me like you saved everyone else by containing this thing. I didn't save anyone. I just delayed everyone dying, Teo wanted to argue. But the connection was ready. Time to start. Let's prove you wrong. Hana activated the machine. The world shifted, changed. He felt his consciousness, stretching, reaching, connecting, and then he was inside her mind. It was different this time. Controlled. Focused. Not the overwhelming flood of the first time. He could think. Could process. Could look around. Her mind was a landscape, dark and twisted, made of memories and emotions and pain. The entity was there, a shadow moving through everything, whispering, always whispering, telling Hana she was worthless, telling her she deserved this, telling her to give up. Teo moved through the landscape, not fighting the entity, not trying to destroy it, just looking, searching. For the light he saw before, he found it deep inside. A small room, warm and bright. In it were Hana's memories. The good ones. The ones she buried. The ones the entity couldn't touch because she wouldn't let it. Her childhood, playing with other Veltari children. Her patterns showing joy, pure and simple. Her first day as a researcher. Her excitement at learning, at discovering, at helping meeting Jiwoo. His careful smile, his gentle voice. The way he made her think, made her better. The first successful convergence test, the wonder of truly understanding another mind, the hope that this could change everything, all of it still there, still real, still part of her. The entity hadn't destroyed it. She had protected it, hidden it away where the darkness couldn't reach. Teo focused on these memories, pulled them forward, made them brighter, showed them to Hana's conscious mind. Look, he thought, look at who you really are. Look at who you've always been. This is you, not the entity, not the guilt, not the darkness, this light, this hope, this person who wanted to help, who wanted to understand, who loved and was loved. Hana resisted, tried to push the memories away, tried to retreat back into the darkness. It was safer there, familiar there. The light hurt. The light reminded her of what she lost, what she destroyed, but Teo didn't let go. He held the memories, made her look, made her see, and slowly, carefully, she started to accept them, started to remember, started to see herself not as a monster, but as a person who made a terrible mistake, who paid for it, who suffered, but who was still underneath everything good. The entity screamed, not with a voice, with feeling. It felt Hana's acceptance, felt her self-hatred weakening, and it thrashed, tried to fight, tried to maintain its hold, but it was just an echo, just a recording. It had no real power except what Hana gave it, and she was taking that power back. The darkness began to thin, not disappear. It would never disappear completely. The memories of what happened were real. The pain was real. The guilt was real, but they didn't have to be everything. Didn't have to define her. Teo felt himself being pulled back. The connection weakening. Hana was disconnecting them, following the safety rules. They had been connected long enough. He opened his eyes. He was back in the lab, in the chair. Hana was across from him, pulling off her connection. She was breathing hard, shaking. Her patterns were visible through gaps in the cloth. They were changing, shifting. The chaos was less. The wrong colors were fading, replaced by softer ones, blues, greens, and through it all, silver threads. Not the entity's silver. Different, lighter, like starlight. "Are you okay?" she asked. Teo nodded. His head hurt, but not like before. This was different, gentler. "Are you?" Hana looked at her hands. Slowly, carefully, she unwrapped them. The burned skin where she destroyed her light-producing cells was still there. But between the scars, her patterns were glowing, softly, tentatively, showing her emotions again. Her real emotions, wonder, fear, hope, and something else, something warm, gratitude. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't know what I am anymore. You're Hana. You're a researcher. You're someone who made a sacrifice. You're someone who survived. You're someone who's allowed to heal." She looked up at him. Her silver eyes were wet. Tears, maybe, or something else. "I saw what you did. In there, you showed me myself. The parts I forgot, the parts I buried, they were always there. You just couldn't see them. The entity is still here. I can feel it. But it's different now, smaller, quieter. It's not gone, but you're the beacon was ready. Took 3 more weeks, but they did it. The signal was strong enough to reach the nearest Veltari outpost. Help would come. Eventually, Hana stood in front of the control panel, her hand hovering over the activation button. She wasn't wearing the cloth anymore. Not all the time. Just when she needed to. When the patterns got too intense. When the entity whispered too loud. But most of the time, she was uncovered. Visible. Herself. Her patterns were different now. The chaos was gone. replaced by complex swirls of color. Blues and greens with silver threads running through them. The silver was permanent, a mark of what she carried, a scar that would never fade. But it wasn't overwhelming anymore. Wasn't all she was. Are you ready? Teo asked. She looked at him. Really looked. Her patterns showing fear and hope mixed together. No, but I don't think I'll ever be ready. So we should do it anyway. She pressed the button. The beacon activated. The signal launched into space. Help was coming. They waited. Days passed. Then weeks. The station felt different now. Not dead, not exactly alive, but occupied. Hana showed Teo the labs, the observation rooms, the places where she and Jiwoo used to talk, used to dream about changing the galaxy. She talked about him more now, about his careful nature, his kindness, his love. She still missed him, would always miss him, but she could talk about him without breaking, could remember him without being destroyed by guilt. He would be happy, she said one night. They were in the observation room, watching the stars. That you helped me. He always said humans were special, that you could survive anything, that you had this ability to bear witness to pain without being destroyed by it. I didn't believe him then, but he was right. We get destroyed sometimes, Teo said. We just hide it well. No, you process it. You feel it and let it change you. But you survive. That's different than hiding. The Veltari ship arrived on day 43. A rescue vessel, sleek and beautiful. Everything the Veltari made was beautiful. Even their rescue ships. Captain Lee Soo-jin was the first aboard. She was tall and graceful, her patterns showing shock and joy and confusion all at once when she saw Hana. You're alive, Soo-jin said, her voice breaking. We all thought you were gone. The station was marked as dead. The rescue crews never found you. I was in cryo-sleep, Hana said. She stood straight, visible, her patterns showing calm despite her fear. I stayed to make sure the entity was contained. Soo-jin's patterns shifted to horror. The entity? It's still active? It's part of me now. I absorbed it, contained it. It's safe, but it's permanent. The other crew members entered. 3 more Veltari. Their patterns all showed the same thing. Fear, shock, recognition. They could see Hana's patterns, could see the silver threads, could see the marks of the entity. One of them, a young male, stepped back, his patterns flashing alarm. It's not safe. She's contaminated. We should contain her, quarantine. No, Teo said. He moved closer to Hana, not touching, but close, protective. She's not a danger. The entity is integrated, controlled. She's been living with it for 19 years. If it was going to spread, it would have already. And who are you? Soo-jin asked. Kang Teo, human salvager. I found the station. Found Hana. I've been helping her. Soo-jin looked between them, her patterns showing understanding. You looked at her patterns, and you survived. Yes, how? Human brains process emotions differently. We filter. We have space between feeling and displaying. It lets us witness things that would break Veltari. Jiwoo theorized it. I proved it. Soo-jin's patterns shifted to sadness at Jiwoo's name. Jiwoo, he died well, protecting you. Hana's patterns flickered, pain, grief, but also acceptance. He did, he tried to save me, tried to pull me away, but I had to connect, had to contain the entity. He understood. In the end, he understood. The crew spent 3 days on the station, documenting, recording, verifying. They ran tests on Hana, carefully, keeping distance, trying not to look at her patterns directly. The test showed what she and Teo already knew. The entity was part of her nervous system. Her skin, her mind. Removing it would kill her. Soo-jin called the Veltari Council, reported the situation. They debated for hours, days. Finally, they reached a decision. Hana would return, face the council, let them decide her fate. The journey took 2 weeks. Hana stayed in a private room, away from the crew. They weren't ready to see her yet, weren't ready to process what her patterns showed. Only Soo-jin visited, and Teo. Always Teo. What do you think they'll do? Hana asked. They were alone in her room. The walls were white, clean, nothing like the station. Nothing like home, I don't know. Maybe they'll understand. Maybe they'll see what you sacrificed, what you saved them from. Or maybe they'll exile me, lock me away, make sure I can never hurt anyone again. Would that be worse than the station? Hana thought about it. No, it would be the same, alone, hidden, waiting. You're not alone now, she looked at him, her patterns showing something warm, something grateful. No, I'm not. But what happens when we reach the homeworld? When you have to leave? You can't stay with me forever. Why not? Because you have a life. A ship, work, you can't just abandon that for me. Teo smiled. I've been abandoning my life for years, running from place to place, never staying, never connecting. Maybe it's time to stop running. Maybe it's time to stay somewhere, with someone. You don't mean that, I do. Hana, I'm not going anywhere, not unless you tell me to leave, and even then I'd probably argue. Her patterns shifted, colors he hadn't seen before. Soft pink, warm gold, hope, and something deeper, something she was too afraid to name. You're strange, Teo. Strange and stubborn and kind. I don't understand why you're doing this. Neither do I. But I am. So you're stuck with me. The Veltari homeworld was beautiful. Blue oceans and green continents. Cities that glowed at night. Everything the Veltari touched became art. The council chambers were in the capital. Ancient buildings made of crystal and light. Hana walked in with Teo beside her. Su-jin behind her. The council members sat in a semicircle. 7 of them. Old and wise, their patterns showing careful neutrality. Elder Park Dayun spoke first. She was the oldest. Her skin was pale with age, but her patterns were still strong, clear. Dr. Yoon Hana, you stand accused of negligence, recklessness, causing the deaths of 12 Veltari. How do you plead? Hana stood straight. Her patterns visible. No hiding, no shame, just truth. Guilty. I ignored warnings. I pushed forward when I should have stopped. I caused the experiment that killed them. I accept responsibility. The council members' patterns shifted, some to approval, some to anger, all to sadness. You also stand accused of harboring a dangerous psychic entity, Dayun continued, of being a threat to Veltari society, of being contaminated beyond redemption. How do you respond? I absorbed the entity to stop it from spreading. To protect everyone, I have carried it for 19 years, alone, in isolation. To keep all of you safe, I am not a threat. I am a solution. An imperfect solution, but the only one that worked. Dayun's patterns showed something like respect. The human. Kang Teo. He claims you are not dangerous. That the entity is controlled, integrated. Is this true? It is. The entity feeds on self-hatred, on isolation, on guilt. But I have learned to accept what I am. What I carry, the entity is still there, will always be there, but it is no longer dominant, no longer uncontrolled. Another council member spoke. Younger, angrier. How can we trust that? How can we know you won't lose control? Won't spread the contamination? Teo stepped forward. Because I've seen her mind. I've witnessed what she carries. I've felt the entity's power, and I've seen her strength, her control. She has been fighting this thing for 19 years. She has never failed. Never let it escape. She is the bravest person I've ever met. Veltari or human, the council deliberated. Hours passed, then days. Hana waited in a holding room. Not a prison, but not freedom either. Teo stayed with her, refused to leave, refused to be separated. Finally, Dayun returned with the decision. Her patterns showing resolution, acceptance, but also sadness. The council has decided. Dr. Yoon Hana, you are pardoned of all charges. Your sacrifice is recognized. Your service acknowledged. You saved countless lives by containing the entity. The Veltari owe you a debt. Hana's patterns flashed relief. Then confusion. But you cannot return to research. Cannot work with the public. Cannot risk exposure to large groups. The entity, while controlled, is still dangerous. Still capable of harming those who view your patterns without preparation. So what am I supposed to do? Dayun's patterns showed kindness. Live, heal, find peace. You have earned that right. The council will provide for you. A private residence, resources, anything you need. But at a distance. Away from population centers. For everyone's safety. Hana looked at Teo. Her patterns showing defeat. So still alone. Just in a nicer prison. No, Teo said. Not alone, with me, if you'll have me. Teo, I'm serious. I told you. I'm not going anywhere. You want to live away from crowds? Perfect, that's what I do. We salvage together. Explore dead stations. Help people who are lost. We make it work. Dayun's patterns shifted to approval.